So you come to Las Vegas and you want to stay downtown. I don't blame you. A lot of people seem to think that downtown is actually where it's at right now. I meet a lot of people that say, we don't even go to the strip anymore, we stay downtown. And that might be because of the hotels, the vibe, the crowd, whatever. But it's definitely a different scene than the strip, and it's never been more popular. So you come to Las Vegas, you want the downtown experience. There are two great hotels. The two best hotels are Circa and the Golden Nugget. Now, comparing these two may seem a little nonsensical, maybe even illogical, because in some aspects, they are polar opposites. You know, you have Circa, that is the new mega resort. It's luxurious, it's modern, it's huge, it's fresh. It is the new jewel of downtown. And then you contrast that with the Golden Nugget, which is one of the oldest hotels in all of Las Vegas. It's vintage, it's old, it's classic. It is, in some areas, diametrically opposed to Circa, but they're number one and number two. They're the two best hotels down there. And in some ways, the Golden Nugget does outshine Circa. And I'm gonna talk about that today. What I'm gonna do is just get right into it and tell you the areas that the Golden Nugget outshines Circa. So you're gonna wanna pay attention to these. If you are a fan of these categories, you may wanna choose the Golden Nugget over Circa. Firstly is the rooms. And you might be saying, James, the rooms at Circa, they're new, they're modern, they're luxurious, they're technologically advanced, they're awesome. And I agree, they are. However, they're expensive, and the rooms over at the Golden Nugget, which is very close to Circa, I mean, it's almost right next door, are larger, and they are much, much cheaper. The Golden Nugget rooms are quite large. So if you want a spacious room, you definitely want to choose Golden Nugget, and more importantly, the value, the price. The Golden Nugget rooms, generally speaking, are a third to sometimes a quarter of the price of Circa. So if you want to pay 3 or 4 times less and have a spacious room, you probably want to choose the Golden Nugget. Okay, category number 2, and this one left me so perplexed. I would have never expected this. The restaurants at the Golden Nugget are awesome. They're amazing. Vic and Anthony's is a vintage steakhouse. It's old school. It's absolutely one of the best steakhouses in Las Vegas. But every hotel usually has at least one good restaurant, but the Golden Nugget has several. They have another restaurant called Chart House. That place is a showstopper, and the food is just as good. It is on par with Vic and Anthony's. And then they have some more casual dining as well. There is kind of like a more entry-level steakhouse called Saltgrass. There is a Cadillac Mexican and tequila bar. And then they have an Italian place as well, plus a lot of grab-and-go stuff. Circa has Barry's, which is one of my favorite steakhouses in Las Vegas. It's absolutely my top 5 or 6, and it is amazing. But after that, there really isn't much for high-end dining at Circa. You have some places like Saginaw's and 8 East, and there's a barbecue spot. But in terms of high-end dining, or actually just mid-tier dining, I think that Circa really pales in comparison to the Golden Nugget. So if you're all about your food, you want a couple high-end restaurants, you want some casual choices, you want some places in between, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's Golden Nugget over Circa all day long. Okay, this one's gonna be interesting as well. You know how I feel about the pool at Circa, at Stadium Swim. I feel it's the best pool in Las Vegas. It's a concept that I've never seen before and probably will never again, right? It's part pool, pool party, day lounge, and sportsbook all wrapped up into one huge stadium environment. It's really quite unbelievable. It's spectacular, and I think overall it is the best pool in Vegas. But the knock on Stadium Swim is that it's large, it's too crowded, it's rowdy, the music is loud, it's synthetic, it's artificial. It really isn't a classical pool experience, and that's where I'm going to segue over to the Golden Nugget. Now, the Golden Nugget pool is definitely smaller, but it is going to be your traditional pool experience. If you don't want the day club music, if you don't want the rowdy crowd, if you don't want to have the huge stadium environment where it's kind of difficult to navigate, if you just want something that's more relaxed, chilled, and traditional, you're gonna wanna head over to the Golden Nugget. I think the pool setup is amazing with the horseshoe. You have that beautiful aquarium in the middle of the pool. There's a water slide there. There's actually plenty of seating, at least from my experience. And overall, it was a fun way to spend the afternoon. It's a great crowd, great vibe, good times. If you want like a traditional and regular pool experience, you're absolutely gonna wanna choose Golden Nugget over Circa. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this one. This one's always difficult to quantify and qualify. It's really just based off feeling, and that is vibe. Circa is undoubtedly one of the coolest hotels in all of Las Vegas. You know, you have Stadium Swim, you have Mega Bar, you have Legacy Club, which is absolutely one of my favorite spots. You have the largest sports book in the world. You got Vegas Vicky's. There is so much that Circa has to offer, but there's one thing that I've noticed that it really lacks in, and that is vibe or energy. Everything is so extreme and to the max with big screens everywhere. It's so technologically advanced and fresh and modern. It really doesn't have like a natural vibe, at least in my experience. Now, it's cool and it's beautiful, it's fresh, it's modern, it's 21 plus. But in terms of like a vibe and energy, it just feels a little artificial. It feels synthetic. To me, it just doesn't feel like a very natural place to be. On the other hand, I actually really enjoyed the vibe at the Golden Nugget. Now, I will say it is overpacked. It's definitely overpopulated and overcrowded, but that crowd does give you a phenomenal energy. There's just a buzz there. There's just a feeling that's almost indescribable. But because of the history and heritage of the place, it just seems to have like this natural sentiment that is organic and authentic. Walking through the Golden Nugget and walking through Circa, I definitely feel much more comfortable and at home at the Golden Nugget than I do at Circa. And lastly, the Golden Nugget is iconic. It's an icon. It is one of the most iconic hotels in Las Vegas. I'd say Bellagio number 1, Caesar's Palace number 2. I'd probably put the Golden Nugget at number 3. It's definitely in the top 3 or 4 most iconic hotels in Las Vegas. And by staying there, you're really gonna get a sense of history. You can say that you stayed at one of the oldest hotels in Las Vegas. You can say that you stayed at one of the most iconic hotels in Las Vegas. You can essentially say that you stayed at the Golden Nugget, which I think is a meaningful statement. You know, contrast that to Circa. Circa is, again, a beautiful hotel. I love it. It's one of my favorite in Las Vegas, but it's fresh. It's the new kid on the block, and it really doesn't have a history or legacy or really any esteem quite yet. So if you're looking to have maybe like an historic Las Vegas stay or a memorable Las Vegas stay or just something to kind of put in your own personal history book, if you don't get to Las Vegas often and you really want to check out maybe the most historic hotels, the most iconic hotels, or the hotels with the most amount of history, it's definitely the Golden Nugget in this category. So Circa versus Golden Nugget, I know comparing these is difficult. Again, they are really diametrically opposed in a lot of different areas. Circa is the brand new mega resort. It's huge, it's modern, it's chic, it's cool, it's technologically advanced. It has a lot of extreme attractions. And then you compare that to the Golden Nugget, which is the opposite. It's old school, it's vintage, it's really no frills, no fuss. What you see is what you get, but it's a downtown Las Vegas icon with tons of history and tons of heritage. And yes, there are lots of areas where Circa will outshine the Golden Nugget, but for the sake of this video, I think it was easier for me to present the areas in which the Golden Nugget outshines Circa. If you are coming downtown and you're interested in the rooms, the restaurant, the pool, the vibe, and maybe staying at an iconic hotel, you're definitely gonna want to choose, or at least highly consider, the Golden Nugget over Circa.